what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Sully Squad. Unfortunately for us as Philadelphia Eagles fans, our football season is over. And you know what? Sadly to say for you, I know I got a special guest here, Phil Haney from the Shooter in the Stash podcast. I was all about to say, well, hey, his team beat us last week, but unfortunately for him, his team got taken out yesterday. So we're all without a football team now. So I got special guest Phil Haney from Shooter in the Stash podcast. And of course, I got my man Sean Kilrain, my usual guest here. Diego may or may not be on. He's a little busy right now, but hey, from three guys that don't have a team in it, we'll get into the NFL playoffs, the teams that are playing, but we're going to get into it here. So how's everybody doing out there? Phil, thanks for hopping on, and how you making out? I guess my question to you would be like, I know obviously you guys killed the Eagles last week. That wasn't even like a game, but you had a good showing versus Detroit. So where's as a Bucs fan, how do you feel about your team's future?
Well, I can tell you right now, waking up Monday morning, a lot of gratitude down here in Tampa Bay right now for this Bucs season and what we saw transpire. It's no secret around the league. There was zero expectations for this team coming into the season after Brady left. And what Baker has done and what Todd Bowles did after that little, not little, but a pretty significant losing streak they had in the middle of the season, and the way he was able to turn that team around, win tank division, and secure a spot in the playoffs. That's all positive, right? We're feeling great. And Baker showing that he can do what he did in the system first year with Dave Canales, future's looking bright. I think we all agree that guy deserves a 3 or 4 year contract now. I'd probably say four at about $30 to $35 million a year would be pretty solid for that guy and what he's done. And like I was saying, we chatted a little before we came on. I think this changes the conversation about Mike Evans as well here in Tampa, and perhaps Jason Light was looking at a rebuild and not willing to pay Mike Evans the money he deserves, while rebuilding, maybe not having a quarterback. But now they know they have a guy that can get him the ball at any place on the field. And I think that's a guy you still got to keep around. So big deal, I think, for us looking forward. I can't believe I'm saying this at the end of the season, but I'm pretty happy with a year or two of Bowles and Canales, assuming he stays here. He did Canales did interview in Carolina for a head coach job, but I think it's a little bit too soon for him to be making that leap. I don't think he's hireable. I just think if you really are looking at your career trajectory, you might want to not take your first job in a complete dumpster fire of a franchise. That's just my suggestion, right? But if we could get Bowles and Canales back, I'm pretty happy about the future. And yeah, I got to say that Eagles game,
a shit show. You can say
that. What can I say? The Eagles and the Bucs history leans in the Bucs' favor. What can I say? We're very happy every time we play the Eagles in the playoffs or towards the end of the season.
Yeah, well, that's true. Well, I was going to say, since 2002. I mean, I remember. Yeah, I'll never forget that. I mean, 2000, 2001, we beat you guys 2 in a row. Then you had the whole 40-degree thing, and the next thing that goes down as like one of my all-time. That's probably my worst loss, other than the Super Bowl last year. That's my worst loss ever as an Eagles fan. I mean, I still can see Rondé Barber running down one sideline and Jurevicius down the other. So, needless to say, don't like either of them. And like you said, I mean, Tampa Bay right now, especially with being in the NFC South, you guys have a bright little future going. But to take it from an Eagles fan's perspective, I mean, like watching us, like you brought up Canales. I mean, right now there's all kinds of rumors about Eagles coaching changes, like the size already fired. You got Matt Patricia out, and it looks like Brian Johnson's going to be out too. So, here I know Sean. I mean, we're hoping for a guy like their OC, aren't we?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. We definitely need change. I mean, you saw with the bubble screens, which I dislike so much. and then playing your guys Monday night, 3rd and 2. We run it 2 back-to-back consecutive times. Like, what's it going to take? I mean, it's just ridiculous. But like I said to you earlier, a lot of changes coming for this team. Free agency, draft, and even coaches. So
Yeah, we got a comment here. Brian says, "Kudos to Baker. Hopefully the Bucks do him right. He deserves to get paid." I mean, you listen, you know him better than we do, but I would just caution a little bit. I mean, I'm still a Jalen Hurts guy. I mean, I think Jalen Hurts has a bright future, but it is scary when you pay a quarterback because Jalen Hurts got the bag last offseason. Last year he was MVP candidate. This year we start off 10-1. He's MVP candidate again. All of a sudden they lose 6 out of 7, and now all the talk radio up here is, oh, is Jalen unapproachable? The teammates are having a problem. So, right now Baker Mayfield's like a nice little story. But what happens when you do give him $35-40 million and you're like 8-9? You know what I'm saying?
Is he still that same caliber quarterback too? But
yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I think that in the NFL right now, $35-40 million is pretty safe for a quarterback. You're not talking Hurts money when you're pushing 6 figures and Dak over. Those are. I'm not. I would never pay that much money for a quarterback in the NFL. Like it's just. I know you can't win without a good quarterback, but at the same time, for the most part, there's basically Mahomes is the only quarterback that's ever really gotten paid and then still went out there and won after getting paid, right? Like you go back and look at it and how
showed it. The
top money, right? You get great quarterbacks that get great deals. Those are usually the ones that perform. It's great quarterbacks that get, or mediocre quarterbacks that get those incredibly high paydays. They usually never come back and perform the way that you want them to. So I still think that $35 million, $40 million a year for Baker, in between that 30 to 40, is totally fine, even if he doesn't necessarily come back and put up, a 12 wins next year. I still think that's a good enough, number for him when you know that he's going to make your team competitive, right? Okay, there's some inconsistencies, and he had a couple of games where their offense was struggling. But again, he's had 4 or 8 head coaches, and I don't know how many offensive coordinators.
I think 3.
In the 8 years he's been in here. And so look at all the systems he's been in. Look at all the coaches he's played for. He finally came here, had a full 17-game season, healthy, and put up very good numbers, I think, for a first-year quarterback in a new system and a new franchise. Like, you go and look and see what some of the other quarterbacks have done that have gone from where they were at to their new team, Stafford, Goff, some of those guys. They've had their success, but it took them a couple seasons to find it. You know what I mean? And so from what I'm seeing from Baker, all signs point to it's a safe bet to get him on a 3 or 4 year deal between $30 and $40 million.
Yeah, and if you don't, look at your option. Brian says Zach Wilson. Ask a Jets fan. Zach Wilson is no option. I mean, you want to talk about Kyle Trask/Trash or Zach Wilson? I'll tell you what. You go with Zach Wilson, you're going from 9 wins to like 3. So I you know what I mean. That's just not going to work. And then I got another comment. Here's my man Pat Bernard. It says, "What's up, fellas? What's up, Pat? How you doing, bro?"
What's up, Pat?
You could check Pat out on Sunday mornings on the Edge of Philly Network on PM and the AM. So make sure you check my man Pat out. He does a great job. And but yeah, I mean, like we said, the NFL in general is it's interesting times. Phil, So let's, obviously we're a Philadelphia sports show. So I'd be curious, like as a Tampa fan, like what do you think the Eagles' weaknesses are? I mean, I think Ray Charles could probably see what they are, but I mean, like just from a Tampa Bay perspective, like what do you think the Eagles need?
Well, I think you have a couple of issues. One of them is a young head coach, and the other one is with a young quarterback. And so where does your leadership come from when you have guys that are inexperienced and you don't have that other veteran voice or someone that has some, time in the league to say, hey, when you're 10-1 and you've lost 3 games in a row, who's the one that comes in and steps up and changes the mentality of the team, right? Because that's the biggest thing. You could talk about maybe skill, right, or a coach, but it's mentality. If you ask me, that's the difference, okay? Because I've lived in Tampa for 20 years. You might not have been prefaced about this, but I was born a Cowboys fan and I was raised a Cowboys fan. So, I'm creamsicle and pewter and red, but I'm also freaking blue and silver. And so I've watched this Eagles team for a long, long time. I have despised this Eagles team for a long, long time because they always played with a certain mentality. No matter who it was, even when Andy Reid was there was a certain toughness and a certain swagger and a certain mentality about playing the Philadelphia Eagles. Okay. I saw none of that this season. Even when they were winning early in the season, I didn't see the mentality that I've known out there in Philadelphia for the last 36 years or 37 years that I've been watching football. So I think that's first and foremost is the mentality. How do you get that mentality back? And then the other thing is you guys had some injuries this year. You know what I'm saying? You had, not having AJ Brown in that game against us was a big deal.
Yeah.
Really, I don't know if it was necessarily
what lost
the game, but it definitely is what kept you guys to 9 points. You know what I mean? Like that, it's what kept it from being competitive, was not having AJ Brown. I don't know that they still would have been able to handle the pressure and the scheme that Todd Bowles was bringing against that offensive line. But yeah, I honestly
doing 4-man overload. I mean, it was easy, and Nick couldn't adjust once again.
Well, and it's funny because I saw the same thing yesterday with the Bucks, that there was no adjustment whenever they were missing blitzes and they were missing some of the reads that they were making, and they weren't making adjustments. You know what I mean? So I think that goes back to kind of young coaching and not always knowing how to make adjustments in game or quarter to quarter, right? That comes with experience. That's not something that you just. I mean, some of it's innately, some of it is, you're gifted at what you do, right? But a lot of that is you have to have experience and know, okay, what works, what doesn't, what's easy to shift to, what's easy to adjust, where do those adjustments come from?
You have to have that.
A lot of that experience, So I think that really, I don't think you guys' team is that far off, right? I think you guys had one of those years where the mentality suffered in the locker room, and then you had some injuries, and then you had a couple of losses in a row, and there was no one there to help right the ship mentally, right? And and you guys know more than I would. You say, is Jalen Hurts unapproachable? What is he like in the locker room as a leader? That would be one of the things that I would look at too, is seeing if you can get him some kind of a mentor, whether inside or outside of the organization. You know what I mean? Someone maybe not as a sports psychologist, but some type of a leader coach or a life coach to help him be a better leader and a better captain for his team.
Yeah, in my opinion, like the number one problem. I mean, you look at the Eagles. The Eagles lost Shane Steichen, right? He goes to Indianapolis, completely turns that around. He was a great offensive coordinator. The other thing was, you look at that Super Bowl defense last year. Yeah, I know we drafted Jalen Carter, and I think Jalen Carter's going to be a stud. But Javon Hargraves had like 10, 11 sacks last year. You're missing him. You saw it yesterday, C.J. Gardner-Johnson with that pick. It's not only that he's a good safety, but he brings that swag. Like, you watch that Eagles defense, they have no swag at all. I mean, they're out there, who was the one kid on your team, the fast guy? I'm drawing a blank on his name. The one they threw a slant or something last week, and he ran all through our defense. Like, Bradbury missed him, Byard missed him. I mean, there's nobody on that Eagles defense that wants to lay some wood. And for guys like me and Sean, I mean, it's heartbreaking because, I mean, we grew up with Buddy Ryan, with the Buddy Ryan era, right? And if you want to talk, Yeah, if you want to talk defenses in the National Football League throughout history, I mean, the Gang Green Buddy Ryan defense is like one of the greatest of all time. I mean, I still remember Jerome Brown.
Absolutely.
Jerome Brown walks off the field playing the Houston Oilers in 1991. And remember, the Oilers used to be the House of Pain? And Jerome Brown's like, they brought the house, we brought the pain. You know, and this team has, I mean, there's nothing I hate more. I'd almost rather watch a team that has a shitty offense and has a really good defense than to watch this pathetic ass defense that the Philadelphia Eagles have right now. I mean, they just, you know, and it's funny because I saw a graphic that showed 2 of the 4 teams that are left invest in linebackers. You look at the 49ers, they have Fred Warner and Greenlaw, right? Greenlaw. And then the Baltimore Ravens have Patrick Queen and Smith.
Yep.
And then you look at the Eagles.
Machine, man.
Yeah, and then you look at the Eagles, they have a bunch of Jags out there. They got just a guy. You know what I'm saying? And it's you guys have pretty good linebackers. I mean, Tampa Bay, Levante David, I mean, he's been a stud for years.
Yeah. The Hall of Famer for sure. Yeah. Well, and that's probably the only part that I saw yesterday the Bucs are weak at is still linebacker or edge rushing. If they could get some pressure on the edge instead of always having to scheme the pressure, that's what we saw yesterday. If we want to talk about that game, is the reason the Bucs really lost is that they couldn't get pressure on Jared Goff at all.
Yeah,
he didn't tear them up. He couldn't get the ball downfield. Like the coverage was great. The secondary did their job. The second and third level for the Bucs defense really did a good job. It was the fact that they couldn't get pressure on Goff and get them off the field on third downs. That was the biggest thing. You guys didn't convert a single third down against the Bucs, and the Lions were 3 for 5 on their first 2 drives. So that was the biggest thing, is not being able to get pressure. And so absolutely, when you talk about the defense, if you don't have that linebacking core to build your defense around in the second, I look at 3 levels of the defense, the line over the top. So in that second level, that's where you really have to make sure that you have playmakers. Sorry, my cat's being. That's where you have to have playmakers there, and they have to be versatile in this day and age. You can't just have one-dimensional, and that's why we were talking about it earlier, and that's where Devin White with the Bucs, he's primarily a pass coverage linebacker, and in our defense now with Todd Bowles, that doesn't really fit what he wants there in the middle of that linebacking core. So that could be a guy that would really, you mentioned before, Sean, that'd be a guy that would, I think, fit with you guys if you're looking for
absolutely. I mean,
in the middle, because he's still young and he has a lot of talent. And I think a reset would be good too, because he's not a bad guy. He doesn't have bad attitude, but he has kind of gotten a bad taste in his mouth for this coaching staff. And so a reset would probably do him really good. He's going to be really good for you.
Hey, I volunteer to go down to Tampa and pick him up. I'll drive him.
They'll just ride his horse up there, bro. That guy's got horses. He's a horse rider.
He's
got a ranch actually I live in the suburbs north of Tampa, and his ranch is about maybe 15 minutes from mine, and he's got 2 or 3 horses.
Speaking of horses, did you all see that movie on Netflix with speaking of horses? I think who's the actor from The Wire? I think his name's like Idris something. It was
Idris
Elba.
Yeah, it was something concrete something, but basically, apparently, like down like North Philly or whatever, they have like people actually ride horses in Philadelphia. So
horses or something,
yeah. Come on, hey Devin White, listen. I know Philadelphia is a city. Come on up, bro. Let's go, dog. Yo, come on, come play some linebacker for Philadelphia Eagles, baby.
Definitely need you.
Nice.
Yeah.
But
I'll tell you another guy I'd like to have from you guys is Winfield a free agent?
I haven't really looked into contracts. I'm not sure if he is or not, but I promise you that guy's
I'll swipe him up, man.
He's not.
I know. But
he's probably, like, regardless of what they do for Pro Bowl voting and all that crap, he's maybe, if not the best free safety in the league, top 3.
Yeah.
So, and especially once again, like I said, now that you have Baker, as an option. I think that changes a lot of what Jason Light, our GM, does this summer. I think it's a 180, I think, for him. I really think he was going into the season thinking, all right, get through the dead cap, get to next season. We'll see what we can do in the draft, and we'll be building for 2 or 3 seasons from now. And we're, try and maintain some kind of competitiveness in tank division. But, now you're looking at a team that can absolutely not just win this division, but, potentially looking at a 10 to 12 win, maybe a 12-win team next year. It's a tough schedule. Honestly, we released it. We're actually going to have a pretty tough schedule next year, but at the same time, it's a completely different mentality that we have. So I don't know that other than like maybe a Devin White, I don't know how much the Bucks are going to be selling versus trying to add.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right here. It says Antoine Winfield is going to be a free agent. He's a likely franchise tag candidate. So that'll be interesting because you guys have some salary cap, some salaries coming up. I mean, if you're going to, if you do pay Baker and then you sign him, then maybe a guy like a Devin White is a a quote unquote cap casualty type guy.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm pretty sure it was just this season that they had all the dead cap. So I got to be honest with you, the NFL salary cap is incredibly convoluted and it's very, very difficult to necessarily like I'm all like as far as NHL salary cap, I can talk. That shit is so easy. It's so plain Jane. What there's A, B, there's length, and that's that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like prorated this or guaranteed what, So I try not to confuse myself too much when it comes to salary capping in the NFL. Honestly, I got a bunch of other things that my brain power should be dedicated to. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that their dead cap is dead. That they pushed back for the Brady and Mike and a few of the players that they did and restructured them. I think all that dead cap falls off after this year. So that puts them in a really good place, even with some guys coming up for contracts. They're not going to be as up against it as they were this year.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're talking about the cap. I mean, you're talking about a guy that thanks God every day for a calculator. I mean, when it comes to adding, dude, I don't go much further than my hands and my toes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know how these guys are cap. You look at like a Howie Roseman and some of these guys, these cap gurus, and it cracks you up too. You ever remember a couple years ago, like the Rams kept adding all these guys, and you're like, God damn, are they ever going to get to the salary cap? Like they signed like everybody. You know what I mean? It's obviously they have different ways to do it.
Yeah, prorating, bonuses, guaranteed versus not guaranteed, incentivized. Yeah, it's so convoluted. There's so much legalese that goes into NFL contracts. It's crazy. I don't even. There's so many guys out there that are better at it and that have done it for so much longer and dedicate pretty much all their time just to that. I can hop on Cap Friendly for hockey and boom, it's all there. It's super easy. It's basically like a calculator. It's super easy to do.
Exactly.
But the NFL, man, I'm just like, no, nope. Yeah. I guess he's coming up for contract. That's, I don't try and get into all that. But yeah, like I said, I think we have room, and I think there's room to bring some guys back, maybe go out there and find someone in free agency, and we're gonna have a competitive team. Like I said, for you guys, man, I think maybe here and there, but I think it's a mentality change. It's really, if you guys are going to be some new coaches, go find maybe an OC or a defensive coordinator that have some experience. Not necessarily new guys, and someone that has an agenda that maybe you can bring it. If you're bringing them both at the same time, you can get some complementary styles there. Maybe you can find a guy on each side of the ball that will play into each other's schemes.
Yeah, well, the rumors up here are Ron Rivera is possibly he's a possibility.
Mike Caldwell.
Mike Caldwell. They both have Eagles connections. Ron Rivera was our linebackers coach years ago. Caldwell played linebacker here, and then for OC, Jim Bob Cooter. He used to be Detroit's offensive coordinator, and then he has a tie to Nick Sirianni. Right now, he's he's with Stuyton out in Indianapolis. So yeah, I think I mean Sean and I were kind of we were kind of on the Sirianni lost the locker room. Maybe you should bring in a Mike Vrabel, but if they're if they're going to stay with Sirianni, well then I think you need experienced coordinators and you need guys with NFL experience because what we saw. I mean, Todd Bowles, I know he has some exotic blitzes, but it didn't look like it was that complicated. I mean, my God, it was like every play you guys were getting through.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think?
Just like Phil said, we looked unmotivated.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, I like Ron Rivera.
Was,
last time he coached, last time he was a defensive coordinator, he had the best defense in the league with the Chargers. So I think maybe a step back for him and just focusing only as a coordinator might be where his future lies. Maybe the game is passing by as a head coach, but as a DC, I think he still has life. And Jim Bob Cooter, man, he was in Detroit with Stafford when Stafford was having pretty much his best years in Detroit. So
yeah,
and I think there's a little bit of similarity in throwing ability between Stafford and Hurts, and so maybe you can find he'd be a good guy to scheme for the skills, the throwing skills that Hurts has, and some of the weapons. AJ Brown, that's a good name actually. I think that would be a good fit for you guys, really.
Yeah, well, hey, how about if we just real quick, let's get into who's still playing. We look at this championship game preview. I mean, we got in the NFC, we got the Lions in San Francisco. And then, of course, in the AFC, first off, I mean, my God, was there any worse way for a Buffalo Bills to lose than to lose on wide right? I mean, geez. And it was funny. Tony Romo like rubbed salt in the wound. He's like, if a Buffalo fan wants to, oh my God, worst case, wide right. Meanwhile, it's like, dude, if that's like the Bears losing on like another double doink,
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so we got Kansas City and Baltimore. What do you guys think? How do you like those matchups? Phil, I'll start with you.
Well, Baltimore, I'm not really a Lamar Jackson guy, but I feel like it's probably the season that he finally proves me wrong as far as kind of getting there, getting through Mahomes, got through last week or, not Saturday. I think maybe it's his time. I don't think his sustainable as far as like continually getting the Super Bowl with the way he plays quarterback and the way that at least the way they rely on him to play quarterback in Baltimore. But with the way the Chiefs are playing right now, and this game is in Baltimore, right? Because they're the number one seed.
Yes, right? In Baltimore. Yep.
Seeds are still the Niners and the Ravens, which that's pretty cool. But I just think in Baltimore, the Chiefs have gotten kind of handed a few bad games. You know what I mean? They got lucky last night. I don't think they got the best game in week one. So it's hard to count Pat Mahomes out because he's Patty freaking Mahomes, and he shows you every year the guys undefeated in AFC Championship games, I think. So it's hard to bet against him, but the way the defense or the way the Ravens are playing football on both sides of the ball, it's hard to see Kansas City being consistent enough to win that game.
Gotcha. How about the Lions game? Man,
to see what the Packers did and go and caught the Niners off guard a little bit and be able to hang them, that kind of is concerning when you're talking about a Detroit Lions team that is feeling themselves the way this Detroit Lions team is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
That's a freight train coming right now. All right. I was worried about yesterday for them being a bit of a trap game. And honestly, it almost was. Like, that was a lot closer of a game than I think a lot of people were expecting it to be. I expected it to come down to the final possession. Pretty much did. Right. So there was opportunities for the Bucks to win that game yesterday. So I do think that the Niners match up even better. But at the same time, we need to start talking about Dan Campbell, what he's done with that team.
Yeah.
Playing football and the way they're fighting.
Yeah.
They're not playing in Detroit now. So I think that's going to be something new for them, not having that home environment, that home atmosphere. But I see them going on the road and winning and making it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I definitely can see that. Sean, how about you? What's your thoughts, bro?
I see the Ravens, sending Kermit Mahomes home, because like Phil said, that Ravens D from front, middle, back, it's just special. They get at you. Kyle Hamilton, he's just playing on another level, and you got Lamar Jackson, the athlete, but they got so much good stuff and different intangibles on offense. It's pick your poison. Zay Flowers, Isaiah Likely, who you didn't even think of anything. Mark Andrews goes down with a season-ending injury, who might come back this weekend.
He'll be back this week, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been in a hyperbaric chamber. The dude's a beast. Broken ankle, tendons, and strained fibula, but they just got all these weapons, man, and it's something special. So I see the Ravens beating the Chiefs. And just like Phil said, I'm riding more of the Lions, and also the way their defense is. You know me, Joe. I love defense. That Hutchinson kid, man, he's just a great edge rusher. And you got C.J. Gardner-Johnson. You got all these guys that play for each other, not just all for themselves. And once again, Dan Campbell, he makes you want to run through a wall with all his comments and biting kneecaps and but and us losing to San Fran kind of left a bad taste in my mouth, so the Whiners will go home.
Well, listen. This guy cemented it right here. I got Phil. I got to tell you a story about this guy. This guy, John Lee.
Here we go.
He says they already have it scripted. It's the Ravens and the 49ers. Well, let me tell you about this guy. This guy single-handedly ended the curse of the Bambino. All right. First off, you ever see the Bronx Tale?
Oh,
yeah. All right. He is the ultimate mush. Okay. Now in 2004, he had the Yankees. He bet the Yankees up 3-0. Like I said, Red Sox win 4 in a row. One time we're watching UConn versus Duke, right? And me and him both took the same game. So UConn's up by 4. UConn's up by 4. The spread is 2. He goes, "Oh, we won." Very last play, dude banks it in from half court. UConn only wins by 1. So anyway, when this you ever what is it?
Mr. Mush.
Yeah, what's the saying? What is it? E.F. Hutton, when I speak, people listen, or something like that, right? When he speaks, it's the opposite, and he's also like Costanza. Do the opposite, okay?
Yeah.
So
I'm forgetting the Cubs guy.
Oh, Bartman.
Steve Bartman. Yeah.
Also that too. Oh, look, he's one of these believers. The colors.
Yeah, they already have the colors for the Super Bowl. If you notice,
hey John, who's going to be the Super Bowl winners of next year?
So, but no, I'll just I think Baltimore's defense, like as great as Mahomes is, and I mean Mahomes is on track. I'm not going to say he's the GOAT yet, obviously, because he has more to do, but with the start of his career, he's on track to possibly maybe 5 to 10 years from now be known as the GOAT. So, I mean, he's on a great track. He's going to be tough to beat, but I think the Ravens are a better team and the home field to play into it. I'm rooting really hard for the Lions, but I got to keep it real. Sometimes a team has a scare and then they go on and they move on. I feel like the Packers were that scared of the 49ers. I feel like the 49ers take them out this week. So I have Baltimore against the Niners. But the fact that Lieb just said that's what it is, I'm probably going to be wrong. It's probably going to be Kansas City, Detroit. So, but listen, Phil, I just want to thank you, man. I appreciate you taking the time to hop on with us. Good luck to the Bucks. Hopefully y'all can give us a linebacker or two because we definitely could use that. But anyway, thanks for hopping on. And where can the people check you out?
Yeah, man. I really appreciate it. It's been great linking up with all you guys here at Out of the Box Sports. You can catch me over at Shooter in the Stash on Facebook. That's our Facebook page. Me and my content creating partner, Shooter. We've been doing a lot of stuff right now. There's a really good Lightning podcast, and I'm getting ready to start doing a daily show, like midday kind of shows that I'm working on getting going. So yeah, you can check us out over there. Always got good content, always sharing good stuff. Shooter in the Stash over there on Facebook.
Hey, nice, man. Hey, thanks a lot, Phil. Have a good one, and we'll talk to you soon.
I appreciate you. We'll see you guys in our house next season.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Yeah, who knows? I may even go to that game. So if I do, maybe we'll link up.
That'd be good, man. It's a good time.
Right.
Always a good time down here in Tampa Bay.
All right.
Nice.
Appreciate
you,
you.
man. Later. Yeah, that was fun, man.
Yeah.
Always good talking football, and I love I love getting other fans' perspectives. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
different insights and perspectives. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because
they don't hear what we hear about the Eagles, vice versa the Buccaneers. So it works out good. I mean, yeah.
Well, and it's funny because he put it in perspective. Like I look at like Levante David and like Devin White, and and being I mean, dude, like you and I both follow football. I mean, I watch I watch as many games as I can. Honestly, with those names, I thought Tampa Bay had a strength at linebacker, and he's like, no, our linebackers were kind of weak, and that actually kind of floored me because you look at those guys' names and you're like, oh, they got good linebackers, but
they got the. I meant to ask him about the rookie kid Yiba from Louisville. Kid came out of the woodworks. I think he had, I believe, 7 sacks. Rookie. But, we need Howie, not the draft. Get the player personnels and, go from there.
When I was breaking down Lieb's claim to fame, I forgot Smarty Jones. Actually, John, you almost killed Barbaro. Didn't you have Barbaro? I think he had Barbaro, too, and he, broke his leg. So don't let Lee bet a horse. Your horse might die. Michael Kaepernick Jr. says Lions versus Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
He's going with the mush.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Yeah, well, speaking of Barbaro, now, that's a damn shame what happened to Barbaro. You know what I mean? And of course that's an animal. But I'll tell you what, though, if you happen to get an injury on the job, say you're at work, like Sean, you do a lot of lifting at your job. You know what I mean? Like what would happen if you strained a nut? You know what I mean? You might have to get some work.
If I'm lifting steel, sign me up for Mr. Olympia because the steel I'm working with is thousands, tons, pounds, you name it. It's going to kill me if it falls on me. So hopefully Jason Fine could help my wife and kids out with that.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I was going to say. When I think of personal injuries and somebody trying to get you paid, I think of my man Jason Fine, aka Attorney Big Al. Motor vehicle accident, slip and fall, workers' compensation, or like we were just saying, personal injury claims. He's got three office locations throughout Pennsylvania and New Jersey. He's got one in Philadelphia, one in Cherry Hill, and one in the Pittsburgh area. So make sure you check that out. Anybody out there that's a coffee drinker? I know, Sean, I can't handle coffee, man. I think I told you many times. Caffeine and me just don't work. But for all the people that do like coffee, make sure you check out the best coffee around. It's Monkey Cult Coffee. They got a newest blend, the organic blend, Peru La Florida. So hey, who knows? Maybe my man Phil would like that since he's from Florida. But use the promo code OOTBS Sports at monkeycultcoffee.com. So make sure you check them out. But yeah, man, and I'll tell you what, last Monday night watching that Eagles defense, dude, if I was drinking the coffee, I'd have some Jack up in that John, dog. That was like one of the I don't want to keep rehashing the misery, but man, I needed to spike that John, dude. That was terrible. Anyway, but yeah, I want to get into some Sixers
You know,
here.
it's just such a letdown.
Oh, here, you know what? Here's a question here. Actually, you know what? Forget the Sixers right now. I got a question here. Ken Fry says, "How surprised are you guys by the Flyers so far?" I'll tell you what, Ken. I am
Pretty
very
surprised.
pleasantly surprised. I mean, this Flyers team. You know, you look at last week. I mean, they went out there. They took it to Dallas. I mean, at one point they were out shooting them like 23-3. That kid Owen Tippett. Sean, did you see that goal Owen Tippett had? That spinorama, John?
ESPN all day. Wow, like jaw dropping. Even Tortorella said it, and I think it was Lawton or Farabee said, "Look, this is going to be on ESPN tonight. You watch top 3, top 5. Yeah, amazing,
Unbelievable." But yeah, no. To answer your question, very, very pleasantly surprised about the Flyers. They are way ahead of schedule. And you know, I'm past the tank, dude. I mean, at this point, there's no sense in tanking. I mean, just don't make the playoffs. I mean, I wouldn't make any. I wouldn't mortgage the future for a playoff spot. But I mean, if there's a trade to be had where maybe you get a guy that can help you now and can help you in the future. You know, say like a 23, 24-year-old guy that could grow with this nucleus, that can play on a line with like a Tippett or whatever. Yeah, I'm down, man. I mean, sign me up, bro. I'm flyered up for like the first time in years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I haven't been able to.
Konechny
Yeah.
leading in points, 42. Farabee second. You know, Couture third. Owen Tippett, who we said, man, like he came out of nowhere, you know. And just like Ken said, Tortorella does have him on another level. You know, it's just so it's a positive thing. The Eagles let down, but now you got the Flyers and you got the Sixers, you know. So, I mean, they are exciting, and they beat the Dallas Stars 5-1. I didn't think they were going to win that big, but they did.
Yeah, we got I mean, just to get back to the football for a second, Michael Papper Jr. says, "I can't stand the stinking whining 49ers, so I want to see Detroit win." I hear you on that. I hate the Niners almost as much as Dallas. Heather Ferguson has my big question, and sorry if I missed it already. Is Jason with Kelsey retiring or not? He kind of walked that back. I mean, right now it's kind of up in the air.
You know,
so,
I mean,
who knows?
I think it's because of the offensive coordinator. And I think if anybody, like personally, if you played the game of football or any sport and just to lose like you lost against Tampa Bay, it's going to leave a bad taste in your mouth. Do you want to go out like that? Hell no. You know, but seeing Jason's mentality, he might be back. Talk to his wife, couple coaches, maybe Stoutland, and be back for one more year, and that's it. You know?
Yeah. And the cool thing is about Kelsey too is like, you know, he's a guy that people around the country like. I mean, you saw him yesterday.
He's a people person. Yeah.
You know, like even Ken Fry. Ken Fry's a Raiders fan, but you know, he respects Kelsey. He goes, "I wore my Batman mask on the Friday Raider show in honor of Jason Kelsey." I mean, you know, Kelsey. Kelsey's probably a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's one of the top centers. He's one of the top centers in the NFL. I mean, if and maybe in NFL history, honestly. I mean, if you think it, like when you think of great centers in this league, I mean, you know, you think of what? You think of Kelsey. You think of like maybe a Mike Webster back in the day on them great Steelers teams.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, Webster, absolutely.
You know,
exactly. Well, work for Kelsey is his first initial step.
Yeah.
You know, quick feet. And one thing is, he wasn't big, but you get off the line first, you win. Just like they say, lower man wins. I mean, He's just something special. And just like you said, Jeff, definitely a first round Hall of Fame ballot.
You know what's ironic about that too? He came out in that draft where they drafted the firemen. He came out in 2011.
Danny Watkins, don't even remind me. Yeah.
Well, and the second round pick in that draft was Jaquan Jarrett, who they reached on. He was a safety from Temple. He absolutely sucked. He was fucking trash, right?
Yep.
And you know, the bottom line is that draft was a friggin' disaster. But they wind up getting Kelsey in the 6th round. He turned out to be one of the best 6th-round picks of all time in the National Football League.
Absolutely.
You know,
like,
isn't it?
Terrell Owens. Look, Terrell Davis, 7th-round draft pick.
Yeah, it'd be cool. Actually, you know what? You just gave me an idea. You know how I do you know how I do
Diamonds
the
in the
old.
rough.
I was going to say, you know how I do the old school. In fact, I'm going to hold my nose when I say this, but next Thursday, Paul Spencer and I are tracking on doing the old school 90s Cowboys, in particular the rival with the 49ers. Now, I got to hold my nose when I do it, obviously, as an Eagles fan, but, I got to keep it real, Sean. It's a great story. You know what I mean?
Oh, it is. You look at the history,
right.
the players, man, Charles Haley, that's a perfect example.
We played
Cowboys,
for both.
49 for both teams.
Yeah. No, but and I'm doing the old school next week. And one thing about that Cowboys thing too, I shouldn't say it's a good story. For us, it was horrible because they won 3 Super Bowls, but it's an interesting story. And one thing about the Cowboys too, they changed the way the NFL draft was covered. If you think about it, with that Herschel Walker trade literally changed the draft. You know how the draft goes to all these different cities now, and they have like the war cams and all that stuff. Prior to that, the draft was on a Saturday afternoon, and ESPN had it, but it wasn't some big event. Now the draft is an event, and part of the reason it is that event is because of that Herschel Walker trade and the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys were the first team to have that war cam, and now all of a sudden the war cam's in like everywhere.
The war room, yeah.
But my idea is, though, we were talking about Kelsey being a 6th-round pick, Terrell Davis being a 7th-round pick. You got Brady. I'm thinking, I think that would be a great show. I'd like to do a show and do a team, the all-time NFL low-round pick team. Like, you could have Kelsey at center, Brady at QB, Terrell Davis is your number one. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I think that would be a good show, and we could actually put it out to the audience, like, to vote. You know what I mean? Maybe there's a guy we forget, like for instance, how many undrafted guys, like James Harrison, dude. James Harrison's an undrafted guy, possible future Hall of Famer or Hall of Famer. You know what I mean? You got like guys like Pat Tillman. You know what I'm saying? Like low round picks. Sure. I think that would be a great show.
Yeah, I'm with it. Let's do
it. But anyway, that's kind of like some unheralded guys. Before we get out of here, we got a basketball team that's playing some great basketball. And in particular, Joel Embiid. I mean, bro, I was going back and forth with a couple guys the other night. Well, I was watching Embiid on Friday night.
Yeah.
And once again, he had more points than minutes played. Right. Yeah. And I got to keep it real, bro. I think Embiid is having one of the greatest seasons of any player in NBA history.
He is. It's something special. You're right. Just from points to free throws to assist, rebound. I mean, you don't even have to play the fourth quarter. That's the crazy part. Like we said last week, he's just showing up and showing out, and it's like, you know what? I don't have to go in the fourth. I'll just sit here, let my team do it.
Well, you know what's cool too is that he gets to chill. Like I love the way Nick Nurse is using him. Like Nick Nurse he plays the whole first quarter, then he sits the first 6 minutes of the second quarter, then he plays the whole third quarter, and then in the fourth quarter he chills for like 5-6 minutes. And you know what's pretty cool is Maxey takes over that, John, because Maxey's become that second star. You know what I mean? Like you look at Maxey, dude. Maxey's crushing it, bro.
Oh, absolutely. And just like you said, Nick Nurse, from Nick Nurse to Doc Rivers, a total 360. It's probably a better atmosphere.
Yeah.
Guys like coming to practice, game, etc. And you got additions of Kelly Oubre, Marquise Morris. It would have been nice to get him earlier in his career, but that ain't the case. He's showing up. And then Batum, dude's like 40 and he's popping threes, man.
Yeah,
Uh,
but you know what?
yeah,
You know what I like about Batum? You could tell he's from that San Antonio system from
yeah,
back in the day. He makes winning plays. Like there was a play, the Denver game last week. There was one. There
the
was one
block.
stretch. Well, actually, both guys. Marcus, the Sixers were losing by 4, I think. Marcus Morris
Yeah, they were.
he hits a three and gets fouled, ties the game. So that's one winning play that he makes. And then there was one where what's his face? The kid from Denver. Oh, Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray drives the
Love him.
lane, and Batum comes over, swats that John. You know what I'm saying? And dude, they're like winning plays, bro. Like a guy like Batum, he might only get you like 8-9 points in a game, but he hits you like a big 3-pointer, a big block, a big rebound. Like he makes winning
Critical
plays.
point, just like you said, Joe, when it needs. And it's that energize. He gets you up when you think you're down. Batum's right there, either with that three, that block, you know. Yeah, I like his energy. And
Yeah.
he's tough nosed too, man. I think one game, didn't he dislocate his finger? He got that shit taped up and he was back in the game.
Yeah, he was like that Chris Rock John, just rub some tussin on that John. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Remember that? Remember
Yeah.
that Chris Rock special?
Yeah.
He's like, yo, my leg fell off. Run some tussin on that John.
Yep.
You know?
Get back out there. You'll be all right. Suck
I
it up.
know. Yeah, you be all right.
Yeah.
But nah, man, like looking at the Sixers here is, the only, I mean, I'm looking where they are. I mean, they're 28-13. They're in third in the East, but really they have the same amount of losses as Milwaukee. Milwaukee's 29-13.
Mhm.
So in essence, they're pretty much tied with the Bucks.
True.
I'd like to get that 2 seed because if we're in the second round and we got to play the Bucks, I think the home court would make all the difference. You
Absolutely.
you want that game 7 in Philly and not in Milwaukee. Especially if you're going against Dame and Giannis in a big spot. You want to get the home whistle and not have it be their whistle.
Well, the schedule consists of tonight's Spurs, Thursday Pacers. They're on a 4-game away trip. So
Yeah.
Thursday Pacers, Saturday night a rematch with the Nuggets at the Nuggets, Monday Blazers, Tuesday Warriors.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I was looking at the standings, dude. How the mighty have fallen. Do you see the Warriors are like 12th in the West? They're like way out of
it. Yeah.
Well, that's one thing. A lot of people are saying, like I would like to see Morey make a move and get a guy like, supposedly, the Sixers are one of like 4 or 5 teams that are looking at Malcolm Brogdon. I think Malcolm Brogdon would be a great acquisition. I think he's exactly the kind of guy they need. Like he could come here, he could play, he could handle the ball a little bit and let Maxey play some off ball. You know what I mean? And Brogdon can shoot, he can play defense. I think that would be a nice move.
What about your thoughts? I like this one trade, Caruso. Same thing, off the bench.
You know what? I like Caruso. The only problem is I feel like the league really likes Caruso. So if they try to get Caruso, bro, I feel like it's like for instance, I don't think he's good enough to like merit giving up like 2 first-round picks for him. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, that's true. Okay.
I'll tell you a guy. I was online. They said that Indiana just got Siakam. And it kind of surprised me because to me that's like win now mode. But supposedly a couple of the reporters are reporting that Buddy Hield possibly wants out. Now Buddy Hield would be a great fit for this team. I mean,
Absolutely.
if you're running 2-man games between Maxey and Embiid, like pick and roll or pick and pop or whatever, and you space like a Batum in one corner, and then you have an Oubre or a Buddy Hield. Like say you have Buddy Hield in the other. I mean, Buddy Hield could get playing with those guys. He could get wide open shots. Buddy Hield could knock down 4 or 5 threes a night just in his sleep playing with them guys.
Yeah.
And that could be a big acquisition.
Yeah. I think I wanted him last year when trade talks were and his name was brought up with the Kings. He would have been a good acquisition over here. But yeah, I would love it. Anything, So
It's a damn shame. I mean, I don't know if it was true or not. I know Howard Eskin says it was out there, but a lot of guys say it wasn't. Like when we made the Harden trade, imagine if we got Halliburton. Imagine if we had Halliburton and Maxey playing side by side. That would be like an instant chip, dude.
Yeah.
But nothing we can do about it now. We just got to hope that Embiid keeps playing at this level. I'll tell you what. I think like until we do make a trade, Tobias Harris is the key to this team. I mean, if we get, like that Nuggets game in particular, like Tobias Harris was key. I mean, if we could get the good Toby going forward, this team could beat anybody.
Oh, absolutely. Not the crumble cookie guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, a perfect word, crumble. We need him not to crumble in the big spots. He needs to come up big in the big spots, All right, so before we get out of here, let's do a little prediction here on the Sixers here. So through next week. So the next 4 games, they got the matchup with Wembanyama. I called him Wemby because I don't know I can't say his name.
Webby.
The French kid.
Webby.
So we got the matchup tonight. Embiid goes against the French kid. So Spurs at home. Thursday, they're at Indiana. That'll be a tough one because the Pacers are playing some good ball. Saturday at Denver, that's a tough one. And Monday at Portland. I'll tell you what, that's a tough 4-game stretch, dude. You know what? I'm going to. You know what? Honestly, I'll be happy with 2-2 in that. That's a tough one.
I'm looking right at it. I think we lose to the Nuggets and the Pacers.
Yeah, I can see that. Although what's that?
2-2, just like you said. Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Although the one thing though, the Pacers is a revenge because the last time we played the Pacers, they beat us here. So maybe how sometimes in no matter where you play, when you get a team that beat you the last time, you have that revenge factor. So maybe that plays into it. But I'm going 2-2, and then we touched on the Flyers a little bit, but before we get out of here, I just want to get into this. Flyers right now, 56 points. They're in second place. They're 4 points behind the Rangers. Flyers next 4 games. They have Tampa at home tomorrow night. And then Thursday they're at Detroit. And then Friday they host Boston. So 3 games, possibly no Owen Tippett because we were talking about Tippett's great goal, but unfortunately he has a lower body injury. I don't think it's serious. I think it's kind of a day-to-day thing, but looking at the fact that they only have 3 games before the All-Star break, it makes you wonder where if he is kind of dinged up, if they just let him chill to have more time to heal. What do you think they do these next 3? You got Tampa at Detroit and then Boston here.
Probably 2-1.
That would be. I'll sign up for that. That would be good.
2-1.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna say. All right, I'm going to kind of copy out a little bit here. I'm going to say 1-1 and an overtime loss. So what would that be? That would be 3 points. That'd be 3 out of 6 points, I think.
Okay. Gotta go with your gut.
Hey, listen, I hope I'm wrong, bro. I don't want to be right. You know what I mean? But, I hope – hey, if we're going to hope for something, let's hope for 3-0. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
So, but big things coming. We did our prediction. So so the next time we're on here, it'll be a Super Bowl preview.
Yeah.
The only thing is, I actually don't know. It's funny. I'll have to keep you posted. I don't know if I can do next week. Diego and I might have to work late, so we might have to do the show on another night, or maybe take the week off. So I'll let you know. But
okay.
But yeah, I mean, I'd like to do it because I like this nice Super Bowl preview. So
okay.
But anyway, hey, listen, it does suck not to have the Eagles, don't it?
Absolutely. I mean, it's a punch in the gut and a kick in the balls, man. I mean, what more? Like you went from 10-1 before we go, to losing 6 out of the last games, and I mean, we got a lot of retooling to do, but that's for another day. From coaching, from players, and Howie. If you're listening, you got to get your head out of your ass and get it right.
Yeah. Well, listen. We usually do an Eagles when we go, but I'm going to say go Flyers, go Flyers, go Sixers. Philly, sign somebody. I don't know. Can we get a reliever? Can we get a pitcher? I mean, but you know what? Nobody's doing shit in baseball. So except for the Dodgers. The Dodgers paid like $1 billion.
The Astros signed Hader. Don't forget that.
Yeah. So go Flyers, go Sixers. I'm going to say go Detroit because I hate them freaking 49ers.
Yeah.
And go. You know what? Go Ravens. Let's go. So I'd like to
Let's go Ravens and see you later, Kerman Mahomes.
All right, but have a great week, everybody. See you next time. Have a good one. Later.